Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. This is Paola Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pau. I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and H.E.R Network on Single TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download Single TV app on the respective app store. While you download it, please make sure that you rate it, that you leave a comment. Uh, you can find Single TV on Google Chromecast. You can find it on Amazon Fire, Fire TV Stick, Roku Sticks, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. The app is totally free. So today, allow me to introduce you a beautiful soul. Her name is Cindy Gould. She is a reinvention strategist. She's an elite neuroencoding specialist. She's a joy catalyst, a victorious life coach who guides women to A, their own rescue, B, the hero of their life, hero of their story, to win in every area of their life. So welcome to the house and
Woo!
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's such a privilege to be here today. And it's
Yeah,
such
so
an
please.
honor to be your friend. So thank you.
Oh, we have planned this interview a couple of times, so we're blessed to have her today. It's finally happened, so I'm so appreciative of your time. So please share with us a little bit so our audience get to know you more.
Goodness. Well, as you said, my name is Cindy Gould, and I am a reinvention strategist and a dual elite neuroencoding specialist. I am a joy catalyst and a victorious life coach. So what that means is just reinvention strategy. It's not about reinventing your life. It's about actually getting in touch with who you really are and then aligning your life to reflect that. So it's reinventing the other things around you. It's really fun. It's really rewarding. And I'm a mother and I have 6 beautiful babies and I have, oh golly, I have 10 grandchildren and it's just great. So, and I love being here. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for being here. And I want to mention you're sharing your joy with us today. And I would like to make our audience aware that it was not always like this. You went through some really hard times, but you overcame those waves that kept knocking you down. And you're here to share, with our audience, how you did it, or, at least, you're going to share a little bit of how you did it because we don't have a lot of time. But I'm so grateful for you, for being brave enough and sharing.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah. So,
much.
so please share with us, how does fear of success affect our journey to pursue our dreams?
Well, gosh, there have been so many studies that have been done people and success. I mean, just so many. And one of them that really knocked me over was the Wealth Research Group. And they did research and study, and they said that 98% of people will die without fulfilling their dreams. 98%. What that means is there's approximately 8 billion people on the planet. 7,840,000,000 will not fulfill their dreams. What that means for you and me, Paola, is that let's say that you and I are in a room full of 100 people, 98 of those people are hit because you and I are going to fulfill our dreams, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But you know what? I'll never, do not, and will not be a member of the Don't Fulfill Your Dreams Club, right? I mean, Miles Monroe said it perfectly. The graveyard is the richest place on the surface of the earth because there you will see the books that were not published, the ideas that were not harnessed, the songs that were not sung, and the drama pieces that were never acted. And basically what happens is that fear of success, it creates such a stronghold in our lives that it prevents us from living and creating that life, the life that we were sent here to create, the life that we're destined to create, and the life of our wildest dreams.
Yes. Beautiful. Yes. We don't want to be a part of the 98%.
No, no, no.
No, no, we don't. So, how did fear of success affected your life?
Well, golly, it all started, and I remember these things. It's funny, the more that I learned about the fear of success, the more it was such a blessing for me because I was able to see and recognize the different areas that it affected me. And it also where it started for me. And so when I was a young girl, I'm Hawaiian and Sicilian, and my parents, my father was based at LAX. He worked for Pan American Airlines, which was fabulous. And it was such a wonderful childhood. And we were based in LA, and we'd go back and forth to Hawaii, and so I was in a very multicultural environment. And as a 10-year-old, moved to Utah, and it wasn't multicultural back then. It is now, but everybody back then, it was kind of like Farrah Fawcett land. And then there was this one ethnic family, which was ours, and I was so blessed to have amazing parents. And I had a mother that always played sports with us. My father did as well, but moms didn't as often. And she always held a really high standard for us to excel and exceed in everything. And I have amazing brothers, a beautiful sister, but I played a lot of sports with my brothers, and I was a girly girl, but I became really good at sports, because I just always wanted to hang out with them. So, it was interesting because at school as a young girl, I ran track, I would win. And I don't say this to boast, it's just to give you a frame of reference. I played, softball, and there were parents on the league, and there were parents of some of the girls that actually put a petition together because they wanted me to not be allowed to play with the girls. They wanted me to play with the boys and to be on the boys' little league because I guess I was pretty talented.
You were that good.
Yeah, but as a young girl, I didn't feel like that was, a good thing that they were doing that. I actually felt rejected, right? And I felt like, oh my gosh, because I'm so good, this is hurting me. Now they don't want to play with me. Right? And I just wanted to hang out with the girls because I had my brothers at home. I was around boys all the time. And, even at track, I remember running races, and I'd get to the finish line and I'd win, and I would see the faces of some of the parents, and they were really sad or they looked disappointed. Now, as a child, I thought, oh no, I did something wrong by winning, right? Because I disappointed. So I created that fear of success, because what it did is it created inside of me, okay, when you're successful, there's pain involved, right? Other people are hurt, or you might get hurt. As a young girl, of course, I didn't realize that's what I was creating. But how did it affect me was your actual question. And it affected me, of course, with missed opportunities. I mean, goodness, even in gymnastics, I did really well, but I would kind of throw events, and, I actually started to, when I'd get to the finish line in my track meets, I would slow down. Nobody else knew I was slowing down. My family didn't know I was slowing down. I would slow down so other children could win, so other kids, my friends, could win. And I was sharing this with a friend of ours and mentor that you and I both share, Dr. Stephen Crawford, and he said, you were losing to win. And gosh, that's exactly what I was doing. And I didn't even realize that that's what I did. And it kind of set me up. So as I got older, the way that it affected me was mostly in relationships, and starting with the relationship with myself. When you dishonor your God-given gifts and your talents by dimming your glow and dimming your gifts, your spirit and your soul actually know that, right? And so because of that, we're encoded like an apple seed is encoded, right? Its purpose is to create apple trees, and the purpose of the tree is to create apples so that we can eat them, correct? And that's encoding in the seed. Well, we all come in to this earth with specific encoding, and I wasn't honoring that. And so deep down inside, right, I would feel unsettled about things, didn't really, until much later in my life, wasn't really able to put my finger on what that was. And it was because I wasn't in alignment. If you're not walking in your God-given authority and absolutely out there doing your thing to the best of your ability, you know it and you feel it, right? And somewhere inside of me, I felt like I was letting myself down and my family down, but I still wasn't really sure exactly what that was. And I also know in hindsight, I attracted relationships that reflected back to me that they were disappointed when I was successful.
Oh.
I know. And that was a great aha for me, right? Because when I succeeded, it would I would get feedback from them that wasn't positive, right? Not from
Okay.
everybody. I have
Yes.
great supportive people in my life and wonderful family, but I would get that. And now I thought, the day that I recognized that, that was a big, okay, I need to make some shifts here, right?
Yes. Yes. And I want to stop for just a little bit, just to, like to bring this awareness that as human beings, we seek for the love, we seek for the acceptance from other people, because love was our oxygen when we were younger. I mean, we are alive, and let's be grateful for those who raised us. Whoever, anybody that was
Yeah.
there while you were younger, is like, be appreciative, even if you were adopted. It's like, love those who took care of you, because we need that love to survive.
Yes.
And now that we're in adult age, you're seeking for that acceptance, you're seeking for that connection, for that belonging. And sometimes we're willing to lose to win, like Cindy. Put her, like, it's like, oh, never mind, I'm just gonna play safe just to make you happy, because I want to be your friend. I just want to play safe. I want to do what you do, so that you make me feel like I belong somewhere. And sometimes when we get trapped in that game, then we are not using our talents. And I just taught that parable of talents on Sunday. And I share this. I share this because Cindy loves the Bible and she loves God, and we talk
Yeah.
about it. So in that parable, I was telling the kids, is like, you're here to make those talents grow. Don't hide them in a hole because you're afraid. Like, no, you have to get out there and reproduce your talents, because like you said, it's like we're meant to shine those talents, and share, to fulfill the kingdom of God. So
100%. Yes. And thank you for sharing that. That's so true. And I know, it is easier to play safe. Back then, when I was a child, that also set me up for the people pleasing thing, right?
you did that,
Because
yeah.
it's so easy to, like you said, you just want to be loved, accepted, you want to fit in, and it was a great setup for that, actually, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. uh so you said that it affected you by becoming a people pleaser. It affected you by seeking relationships that weren't uh, happy for you. Like they were disappointed. Kind of like you were reliving. Like, that's funny how our psychology works. Sometimes we seek for those moments to relive, and we pick those people to hang out to relive those small traumas, big traumas, traumas from the past. Uh, Also, uh, who were you before you overcame the fear of success? Like what,
Oh,
like
God.
as in your adult age, like how did affected you?
Well, one of the things, and I want to share this, I didn't necessarily seek out those relationships. There was something inside of me, because we're all electric beings, right? Our hearts beat at a certain frequency. I attracted those to me because in my psychology, I believed that that was correct, that that was what I should do, right? And I don't know, it wasn't necessarily a conscious thing. So I invite that to everybody who's listening to really take a look at who's around you and own your part of that. Like, how did you attract them into your lives? And is that really what you want? Is that really the kind of life that you want? You asked, which is such a great question, who was I, or before I overcame all of this? And you know what? I was really unfulfilled. I was an unfulfilled person. I had levels of success on different areas, in business and other things, and I would get to a certain level of success, and then I would get stuck there because I would either get stuck with some of the feedback I got that was less than resourceful and stellar, you know. Some of it was just downright stinky, that I never really, I'm trying to be kind, but some of it just really sucks, but I never really, got over that complete finish line to really, really and truly build the life that I believe that God sent me here to build until recently, and it's just been wonderful. I wake up every day and I'm thrilled. I wake up every day before my feet even hit the ground, and I know I'm victorious. I know I've already won, and it's just such a blessing. It's such a cool thing.
That's awesome. So what helped you to work through this fear of success?
Oh, golly. Well, one of the things, many of us have heard Tony Robbins say, when you stay in your head, you're dead. And I would like to add to that, when you stay in your heart, you're smart. And one of the things that really helped me was really getting into my heart. And specifically, I'll share some things that I did. Remember when I shared with you a few minutes ago about getting to the finish line in a track meet and seeing the disappointment on the parents' faces? I took that personal. What I ended up doing was I reframed, because they weren't necessarily sad or upset that I won, bad or disappointed for their child that their child didn't win. And those are two very different frequencies, right?
Yes.
And it was so much easier to shift when as a parent and a grandparent, and going to different events golly, we were the loudest parents in the football stadium when our son was playing football, or, track meets or other things, or with our grandchildren playing all their various sports. And I always wanted them to win and to do well. I wasn't necessarily disappointed when somebody else won, right? I wasn't disappointed at that person. So that was an easy thing to reframe. But there were 3 other specific things that I did. And one of them was forgiveness. I forgave myself for ever dimming my light in any way, shape, or form. I looked at myself every single day. I do this every day, multiple times a day. And I look at myself in the mirror, and I invite you and any of you that are watching, grab a piece of paper and just jot this down, because this will change your life. And you and I were taught, by my beautiful and your beautiful and amazing mentor, Joseph McClendon III, and to look at ourselves in the mirror and to literally tell ourselves that we love ourselves. And I did. I looked in the mirror and I said, Cindy, I love you, and you're freaking amazing, and you're freaking magnificent. And I would just give myself a list of all the wonderful things. I do that every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. Sometimes, holy cow, the other day, which you'll love this. The other day I was at Home Goods, and you know how in the store they have like rows of mirrors, or they have the different things. And I walked past a mirror and I stood and I looked up and down the aisle. Nobody was there. And I did it there in the store, and
That's
and
beautiful.
what that did for me, though, is it opened up a whole dialogue with myself, right? And then, I tell myself that I'm the daughter of the King. I'm heir to the throne, and He did not send me here to dim my glow so that other people will feel better. He sent me here to sparkle and shine, to be a beacon of light and hope, to be a conduit of His light and of His love. He sent me here to be the very best that I can be, and it actually glorifies God when I make all those choices to sparkle and shine. The brighter I am, then the more that it glorifies Him, right? And then I surrounded myself with people that reflected that back to me. So that was the first thing I did. Long answer. The second thing I did was I got super, super clear on what I want. Like really clear on what I want. In our favorite book, which I learned that phrase from Les Brown the other day, which I thought was pretty fun. But in the Bible, it does tell us that where there's no vision, people perish. If you have a vision of what you really want in your life, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And then you aren't going to. Part of you does perish without having that vision, right? Because you can't flourish, do what you came here to do. In that same Bible of ours, we're also told to write that vision down and to make it plain. And, I had it taught to me, make it plain like a fourth grader could understand it. So write down that
Yes.
vision, right? And make it completely
Yes.
plain. And you and I both know what you write, you invite. So write it more than once. I have it all over the place. Holy cow, I have so many journals and so many notes and different things all over, and I do that. And the third thing that I did was I didn't dwell or rehash those hurtful things. I used some tools and processes that got me over a lot of those things really quick. I realized that so many people have trauma and hurtful things that could easily knock you off center, that could really hurt your life, that could hurt your heart. And it would be easy to keep tripping over those traumas. Right. As we do. I mean, I've been there. All of us have been there. We've all had those experiences. It's a choice. It's a choice to choose joy. It's a choice for all of those things. And I know you had opened the door for me to share a couple of the things that I had really had a tough year, in 2021 and 2022. And during that time, so I joined the Neuroencoding Institute in April of 2021. And 2 weeks later, they didn't have anything to do with each other, I have to say. But 2 weeks later, I moved out of my home and, and I was headed for divorce. And yes, that's traumatic and that's a tough, thing to experience. Yes. And I was grateful to have the Neuroencoding Institute and the things that I was embarking. I actually moved in with my son Mana and his family and his beautiful 5 children, his beautiful wife. And it was such a wonderful experience for me and a great place for me to heal and walk through things. Well, fast forward from April to August, or actually in July, the latter part of July in 2021, the same year. And my son Mana got sick. I was actually out of town getting ready to celebrate his daughter's 16th birthday. We were throwing her a surprise party at the beach. So I was getting ready for that. And I was gone for 2 days and got a phone call that they were all coming down with COVID and that their house would be under quarantine. And we couldn't do the party because I was out of town and they were all sick and I couldn't go back because of the quarantine and, that whole thing. Well, my sweet boy, Mana, he actually ended up a lot sicker than the rest of the family. He ended up in the hospital. And about 2 weeks later, on August 7th, he passed away unexpectedly and left a huge hole in our family. So that started, I didn't have the bandwidth for that. And you opened the door for me to share about God, and God is so gracious and has blessed my socks off and has really helped me heal through these things which seem insurmountable and impossible to heal. I believed with all my heart, and I still do, that when you speak to a fig tree, it dies, right? When you speak life, it lives. I didn't for 1 second believe that he wouldn't be here right now. And so, that happened. The next month, I lost another loved one. The month after that, I lost one of my best friends of over 20 years. And then November 1st, my sweet, precious father, he's almost 90 years old, unexpectedly passed away. And then December, then I was divorced, and then I lost another cousin, actually, who was super duper close to me. We're very close right after that. And, over the course of like 9 months, I basically lost a loved one a month. Now, I don't share that for anybody to feel bad or to feel sorry or sad. It's to give you a foundation of, you know what? I can relate to sorrow. I can relate to grief. I can relate to disappointment. I can relate to feeling to the fear of failure, to the fear of, success, to golly, the fear of procrastination and hesitation. I can relate to all of those pieces. And I'm going to tell you that you can still wake up every single day and be in joy, even amidst all of that
Because
unbelievable.
Yeah, because you're the proof of it. Like on your speech, you talk about it as like you felt like a wave knocked you down and you were trying to get up, and another wave knocked you down and you were trying to get up. And it's like one after another. And you were able to victoriously, like you say, get up, and now you get to choose joy. And I want to share this with our audience, that you also have experienced two miscarriage. So you are a mom that know what it's like to lose a child, you know,
Yeah,
in your pregnancy, and then you know what it's like to lose a child when he's an adult and had kids and had a life and dreams.
right.
So it's like, oh my gosh, I talk to you, and you always bring joy to to my life, always bring wisdom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, how do you do it? It's like, how do you do it? And we need contrast, like we need your story. People needs to hear your story, because sometimes we get so used to a routine that we truly forget to truly be grateful for our life. We like be grateful for our talents. We forget to express those talents because we get just trapped into a routine. So we need here to hear stories like yours to bring contrast and wake us a little bit up. And it's like, oh, okay, it's like she did it. She did it, and it's like I'm able to do it as well. So you're an example for a lot of women out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
One of the things I do want to share and it is that, the Lord's been so good to me and highlights my blessings along the way. So it gives me something sparkly and shiny to look at as opposed to, right? And one of the things is what mom has the privilege of living with their child, not knowing he's going to pass away? I got to live with my son for the last months of his life. I didn't know he was going to pass away. What a tender mercy that is. I got to see him be a husband, to be a father. I got to listen to him interact with his children, to hear them laugh and play, to hear them sing, to see how much he loved and adored his wife. What a blessing that was for me. And we got to have some really meaningful and heartfelt conversations. I mean, who gets that, right? Like, I, I will, I'm just so grateful for all of that. But you had said too, and I know you've said that before, is like, how do I choose joy? Or I'll tell you what really fuels me is I refuse to be part of that 98%. I mean, think about
Yeah.
it. It's like and if I walk
Yes.
around sad and upset and blaming or even angry or anything, I'm not going to be in the 2%. There's just no way. It's not going to happen. I, God saved me and blessed me to be here right now. He did that with each of you. Everybody that's here, everybody that's watching, you're here on purpose with a purpose, right? And every single day you have an opportunity to love others, to increase your capacity to love, to share, to give, to serve, to be kind, to be a blessing. Every single minute of every day you have that opportunity. It all starts within your home, right? And then it moves into where you are at school or with children and just even at the grocery store, if you have an opportunity to just, you know, chat up the clerk or the person in line and just speak kindness and life into them. Or I mean, nobody feels like going grocery shopping after they've worked all day. So if you hit the store afterwards, everybody's kind of grumpy, and you know what I mean. And if you're
Oh,
standing there
yes.
smiling, either you're going to irritate people because you're smiling so much and then they're going to have to smile back at you, or you're going to
Yeah.
brighten their day somehow, right?
Yes, it's a choice. It's like we have the choice to make this moment purposefully.
Yeah,
It's like, what's the purpose of the moment?
yeah,
And it's a choice. And we have to, you know, invest the energy. We have to invest the creativity. We have to make it happen
yeah,
because we're able to. We just, have to educate our mindset. We have to educate the critical side of our brain that
yeah,
sometimes is telling us that life is not perfect, that life should not be that way, that it should be this way. And your brain is probably right, because it's a critical side of your brain. Only you know what you expected at this time in life, but you have the other side of your brain that is the creative side that can speak and say, hey, yeah, got it. It should be more perfect, but we're in here and we're going to enjoy it and make the best out of it.
Absolutely.
And open up the creativity to see, it's like, okay, where can I express my talents? Right.
Right. Well, and I think arguably I would have the right with the kind of year that I had last year. I would have the right to be angry or sorrowful or any of that. I think that, I think I would be met with a lot of grace if that's where I was at. And it doesn't, and none of that sits well with me, right? To do that, because at the end of the day, let's be real honest, none of those people are here. I know that within that group of people, some of them were not in the 2%. My son's life was cut short, right? He didn't get to fulfill all the dreams he had, to see his children grow up and get married and have children and, be with his, beautiful wife. He didn't get to do those things. It's my father, I'm so grateful he got to live such a full life. He was almost 90 years old, and what a blessing it was for me to have him here,
Wow.
yeah, for so long. And, but I think about that a lot. Like, we're told, right, in that same favorite book of ours, the Bible, to not look back. And what happened to Lot's wife when she looked back? She turned into a stinking pillar of salt. I mean, it's like, and like, or even the analogy we've both heard is when we're driving, right? We don't drive backwards. I mean, goodness, we look straight forward and we only look in the rear view when we are backing up, or we need to see that, or our side mirrors. Other than that, we're always looking forward, and that's such a great metaphor for what we should be doing with our lives.
Yes, and every time I talk to you, you're always counting the blessings. And this happened to me. Let me tell you about the blessings. It was like, that's another, you know, another habit that we are inviting our audience
Yeah.
to adopt. Is like gratitude. It's like Cindy is always counting her blessings. And look at this is a blessing. And she goes and then tells me the story of how that became a blessing. And anyway, so it's like we're inviting you today
Yes.
to add that into your habits. Like begin with three things you're grateful for each day, and then sometimes we're gonna find way more than three things to be grateful for.
100%. And just stack your gratitudes. Like, I mean, honest, it's kind of wild, but you can be grateful for your toothbrush, because there are people, number one things that folks that are homeless ask for is like hygiene bags. And who got to wash their hair today? And if you didn't, you better, you know, but who got,
Yes.
right? Or did you have perfume, or do you have, beautiful clothes, and you have a beautiful home, and, we've got heat and we've got things. I mean, there's so many things that we have to be grateful for. And what we put our attention and our intention on is what will grow, right? So where our
Yes.
focus goes, our energy follows. So, if we're focused on our blessings, that's what's going to keep flowing right into our lives. And I know that has been the case, at least in my life, and I'm sure it has been in yours too.
Yes. Yes. What you feed every day grows. So make sure that what you're feeding, it's good, so it continues to grow. So yes.
Yes.
So let's continue this beautiful conversation. Uh, how did you feel? Because this happened to me. How did you feel when you realized that it was a fear of success that was holding you back? Because we don't know when we're trapped in that. We don't know that it's the fear of success that is pulling us back.
Right. Right. Well, you just said that it happened to you. So what happened? May I ask?
Oh, with me, it was like saying yes to this TV show, saying yes to becoming a neuroencoding specialist, a life coach, brain health trainer, like giving it a 100% yes was my analytical brain was looking for excuses to say no, because it was my fear of success is that if everything goes great, I would lose my marriage. That was my
Mhm.
biggest one. And then my family would fall apart. So that was I adopted that idea or that fear of success with those results because I began to analyze people around that I was learning from or who I admire. Read books from, and I was like, oh wow, I love them. I love what they do. Blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, but they're divorced.
Mhm.
Oh, but they're divorced. So it's like that led into, okay, if I follow their footsteps, I'm gonna end up divorced, and it's something that is like I don't want. I'm going on 19 years, 3 children, and it's
Yeah.
like it's not, it's something that I nurture, try to, like, that's my main focus. So for a long time I was like doubting, like doing these interviews, doubting to write a book, doubting to coach people, because that was a pattern that my brain chose somehow to see, until I was set free, where it's like, no, I decide. It's like, if I'm in constant prayer, if I know where I'm going, if I have a clear vision of how I want my life to go, if I'm going on dates with my husband,
Yes.
then how is that going to, like, if I have an open communication with him, we're going on dates, we're building a relationship. And if I continue to do this, it doesn't add the math.
100%.
So, but I was trapped in that, and I didn't know that's what it was. So it's like, once you realize that you're out, it was like, oh, it's like, now I understand. I was trapped in the fear of success, and because my brain, trapped that analogy from other beautiful people out there, that the reason for them to get divorced was, it wasn't because of their profession. And that's what I was thinking. My brain was thinking, oh, is that profession that caused them to know? It's like, it wasn't their profession. They stopped nurturing that relationship. So
Yeah. You know what? And thank you for sharing that. I think I remember when you and I talked about it the other day, and I thought I could see why you adopted that belief. I could see that because I know some of the people that you studied. And, I would invite you to, which I think I shared with you that day too, but also for anybody who's listening, if they struggle with the same thing, is to look for evidence to the opposite of that. Because there are so many successful people that have amazing marriages. My brother and his wife married 35 years. They just celebrated their 35th wedding anniversary this week, and they're just beautiful people that they do exactly like what you said. They are each other's priority. God is number one, and then the two of them, and then their children and their grandchildren. They go on hot dates all the time, and they do fun vacations, and they do wonderful things, and they really nurture each other. They take care of each other, and they're both very successful also, in their other endeavors. And it's pretty awesome to see that.
yeah, maybe you should let us interview your brother and your sister-in-law.
That would be great. I think it would be
35 years,
yeah.
there is a secret, 35 years. And that's one of the things I was listening to, like, kids now, they don't want to get married because they don't see a successful marriage.
Yeah.
And the people is like, well, people are complaining that the new generation are not getting married, and they're like, well, this is the reason why, which I didn't really dive into the research yet. That's just something I heard, and it's like, well, it makes sense if they're not, because if they don't see successful marriage to follow, maybe they adopt the belief
Sure.
that they will end it up that way. So you see how beliefs act in
Yes.
our life, guys. So
Yeah.
make sure that those beliefs are not stopping you from building a beautiful life.
100%. For me, when I
Yes.
realized that fear of success, when I realized it, the truth will set you free. And you can't fix something or correct something when you don't know what's broken. Right. What's interesting with people, especially, with our psychology and the different things that we believe, and we hold so fast to those beliefs, even if we don't know that that's what we believe, right? I mean, consciously, some of that stuff doesn't even make sense, right? But we believe it
Yeah.
anyway. And it's kind of like when you like injure your back, and you don't go to the chiropractor, and you don't go get massage, and you don't go to the doctor. So you start adjusting and tolerating it till you don't really feel the pain anymore, right? You just kind of
Yeah.
walk a little differently, and you just make it work. for me, that's where I was with the fear of success. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that that was a thing. First of all, I mean, who would be afraid of being successful? We all want to be successful, right? I mean, I didn't realize that that
Yes.
was a thing. And then when I did, as I mentioned before, I had to have forgiveness because it would be so easy to not and to blame others and everything. I ended up just taking extreme ownership of it. It's like, hey, this is my part in this. This is my thing. And then just catching myself because it's not a perfect healing process, right? I mean, you're going to be given many opportunities to re-injure yourself and walk back through it. So you just keep working at it every day. I do get in the mirror every day. I do talk to myself multiple times. You just do those things.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that you and I both do that I'll share is when something comes up that is unresourceful, that I can connect to that or something else that hinder me successful and creating that life of my deepest desires, I will yell at the risk of making myself jump. Sometimes the word stop. Like I've been in the car, I've been in a store, and I have to do it under my breath. And I'll just yell, stop, and I'll stop that thought. And then I will fill myself with, I'll move my body, I'll shake it out, I'll do whatever I have to do. And then fill myself with more resourceful thoughts that will help me to correct that. And the more that I do that, the less I have those other negative thoughts, right?
Yes, the stop technique. And because here we go again, and you guys have heard me many times, these beautiful people that are here to create purpose, uh, that we have between 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And that's the language of the brain, because the brain is always hearing, seeing, smelling, feeling, it's like
Yes.
it's always receiving information. So that language that we get are those thoughts. So if you watch a scary movie, if you watch the news, if you're worrying about something, those thoughts have to stop. You have to educate those thoughts because they lead into your emotions, and your emotions lead into your behavior. So make sure that those thoughts, those emotions, those words that you're saying are aligned on your goals, your dreams, what you're trying to accomplish. Because it's an educate. We have to educate our mind. Otherwise, we're gonna be feeling all the what's happening in the world right now. That's all we're going to relive. That's going to become our reality. But that's just cyclical. It's like that stuff is going to happen. If we look at history, it's like it's cyclical. So sometimes we get lost, distracted into what's happening right now in the world, and we forget our true reality, which is our family, our our people, our dreams. So please, let's learn to educate that beautiful brain of
Yeah.
ours that is trying to keep us alive.
Yes. Yes. Well, as you were talking, it reminded me of, when you talked about the news, and there's so much uncertainty in our world, right? There's so many things coming at us all the time that aren't great. I don't watch the news. Like I skim through some things, but I don't. I'm really careful with what I feed my eyes, my ears. I'm super careful with and what goes through my mouth. I'm careful with those things on purpose. And it's like, for instance, I believe in having food storage. I believe that you should have those types of things for your family. I don't dwell on the reasons why I might need it. Right? Because if you're going to be eating from your food storage, it's not going to be because everything's going fabulous. Right? So I don't
Yes.
think about that. I just am prepared, I handle it, and then I focus on the things like stacking my gratitudes and on the things that are going to help me to create the life and to do the things that I came here to do.
That's beautiful. Yes. If for some of you don't feel the strength, the courage yet to tell yourself, like what our mentor teaches is like my name, is Paola. I look at myself in the mirror. It's like, Paola, I love you. If you don't feel the strength and courage, because it takes time, high five yourself. Just give yourself a high five. Celebrate yourself.
100%.
that motivate you. Yes, that motivate you to continue, make you feel good. And there's research, there's research on high-fiving yourself, high-fiving other people, that is going to, create those beautiful hormones of dopamine, serotonin, where you're going to feel proud of you. It's like, yeah, high five. And that's what we need. And if in reality, we know how hijack our brain to create those beautiful hormones that's going to make us feel good, make us feel like we want to accomplish things.
Yes.
That's the key. That's the key. Because if we watch the news, if we pay attention of what everything is going wrong, then you're hijacking your brain to release cortisol, and all those hormones are going to make you stress, scared, and hesitate of what's going to happen tomorrow.
Oh God.
So
I one of the things I didn't share, and I don't know if I've even shared it with you, but I had struggled since my miscarriage. I had a miscarriage in my 40s, which you do know, and I had struggled with my weight, with my body, and my son beautifully named it. My son Nicholas named it sad fat. And you know what? And that is it. Yeah, but that is it. It was sad fat. And since then I've released like, I don't know, over 100 pounds and about 120. And I only share that because it really was because of releasing the cortisol, because of all the things that happen, and what I was focusing on. I was focusing on the things that were, and stacking my sad things and trying to slip blessings in between there. And it doesn't really fit. There wasn't really room for both, right? And it does boil down to really what you focus on. And you know what? There were days, and I'll be really honest, there were days where I looked in the mirror and I was crying. Like, it was hard to look myself in the eye some of those days and to be able to speak those words out loud. And one of the things I did when I was done is I would force myself to celebrate. Okay, you did it. Yay. And even with tears streaming down my face, I would still, right? Because that, what you said is so true, because there will be, even for a lot of people, it's hard to look themselves. When was the last time you actually really took a good look at yourself in the mirror? Right?
yes, thank you for sharing this. So now we invite you all to learn to destack your sadness
Yes.
because it's possible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. It's like if you have a bunch of things that you're stuck up because sadness, anger, learn to forgive, learn to let go,
Yes.
uh, learn to be grateful because it happened for you. It made
Yeah.
you stronger. It happened for you. It's something that I've learned, something that it helped me to remove that stack of sadness and anger and resentment. It's like, okay, it happened for me. What did I learn?
Yeah.
Good. I'm a better person because of it.
Yeah.
Okay, this happened for me. What did I learn? Oh, I'm a better person. I'm stronger now. I'm wiser now. And then it's like, okay, and then destack them. And when you're ready, continue to,
Yes.
build the happiness and love and joy in your life, just like Cindy is showing us to.
Thank you. Too, for me, and I love that you shared that. Thank you. Is I do the same thing. And then the extra component is because of all the beautiful things you learned, because you have learned from all these things and you've been able to heal through those things. And now it has increased your capacity to love others, and it increases your capacity to share that with others so that you can recognize it, because you'll have a radar for it in somebody else, and you can passionately, love on them and help them through it, which is so cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, more understanding now
Mm-hmm.
because you
Yeah.
heal. You heal that, and then now you're able to understand. We only have 1 minute left.
Oh,
This
goodness.
went by so fast.
It did.
You're gonna have to come back and bring your
Thank
joy
you.
to the
Thank
show.
you.
Is there a last message you would love to share with our audience today?
Yeah, you know what? Just take a good look at what you say to yourself and how you talk to yourself. Get really clear on what you want, get over your stuff, and just know that you're here on purpose with a purpose, that God created you in his image. You're his masterpiece. We're his strategy. We're here and we're his strategy to bring his light and love to the world. So I thank you so, so much, Paola, because you're such a joy and I just love you. So thank you.
I love you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
For all of our beautiful builders of life right here, thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much for coming back. If you're new, please come back. Go to my YouTube channel, Paola Guthrie. Leave a comment on this recording. Share it with anybody.
Yeah.
Your numbers, your likes, your comments helps this information to go out to more people. So please help us with that. Remember that you are who gives power to your beautiful talents. You are the only one that can give life to your dreams.
Yeah.
This show can also be heard in Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for more news in programming. Spanglish World. Read it, hear it, watch it, download it, and live it. Blessings to you all, and we'll see you soon.
Bless